Waiting. Waiting. Is it there?
There.
We're live.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the polls.
It's been that
I don't
kind
see
of
the
week.
recording, but it says it's there, so I guess that's a feature. We do not have a ton of updates this week. You'll probably see me popping in and out because either my internet's not working, Teams is not working, I'm not working. I'm not quite sure which one it is, but I'll be popping in and out today. But we'll get started with updates. I'm going to pass it to Adam first because I never do. So Adam, what is your favorite?
Sure, watch. I'm just gonna steal everything from everybody. No, the one we were joking about before the start, I guess, will probably be the easiest one. They now have in development that they will soon support 250 gigabit file size, and basically what you'd expect in the 365 file repository. So OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams. I guess for like the couple companies out there that have cab files that are for skyscrapers, this could be great for you. For everyone else, I really hope you're not uploading 250 gig files, but soon they'll have that support, which I guess is just kind of for those outlier cases that need it. I'm sure someone's going to be really happy about that update, so kind of cool to see.
I had read an article recently about that, and they said the good and the bad on it. And they said the good is that they want people, obviously, to put more files up in the cloud. I get that. You know, they're doing video work, things like that. You can get gig files of videos without even trying. They said what the bad part is if you have versioning turned on, this starts to grow exponentially. And if you have data retention turned on, it creates like a separate data retention library, which is feeding copies of it into that. So all of a sudden,
and by default, you have 100 versions turned on with.
Oh yeah, and so you've got a 200 gig file that you've updated like 10 times. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, you got 2 terabytes of whatever you had already, poof, gone.
Yeah, the first month you get an overage bill from SharePoint, you're just gonna be like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, so I have a feeling that, and they were recommending that last time Microsoft did something like this, they also upped the overall quota that you had. They're saying they probably really need to do that right now because it could easily get into a thing where you're just popping along. You've got like 5 terabytes that you're using, no big deal. You've got 64 in your overall quota, and within a month and a half, you are now over. And if you're not looking at that from a cost perspective, that could really hit you hard. So great idea. Please don't take that as a challenge because it really shouldn't be done.
I love it. Well, I'm going to take one because one that I'm kind of excited about. Microsoft List number column symbols. So this means when you're using a list and you have column that's a number type, you're going to be able to select the symbols. So dollar, euro, yen, percentage, and then pick if you want it on the right or the left side. So this is exciting to see. So this is in development now. So I really like that one. Just another delighter for List. So.
Yeah, I thought they also had like 3 other ones that are associated with lists that, as a package, these things.
I know, but I didn't want to steal them from you guys.
That was so nice because I was going to take all 4.
Well, then you have the other 3. I guess
I'll take the other 3 here real quickly.
You're greedy, Gus.
I am. Well, yeah, that's me, greedy Gus. One is the grid view keyboard improvements. So basically, if you're using a grid view, or quick edit as it used to be known, you are going to be able to get a faster experience by using your keyboard now instead of having to click to go everywhere. So you can go across rows and columns using your tab keys. Pressing enter enables you to edit that field. Clicking enter on a new row saves the item, and pressing the escape key closes the editor. By and large, I'm sure some people, when they first get going, will hit the wrong key and go, what happens? But that's when the whole undo and redo feature comes in. You'll want to use that one. But I think these are some cool things to enable you to have a better response when you're using the quick edit view, because it's got a lot of power in it. And I think with the keyboard functionality, it's going to add a lot more. They're also doing a visual UI for read-only fields. So if you have a field that is read-only, it's going to have different visual effects to it. So it'll be a lot easier to say, hey, how come I can't update this field or things like that? So I think that's going to be cool. And configuring person column for profile pictures. Now you're going to have a little bit more control over how to show a person's name as either text only or use their profile pictures using the visual pill formatting. So again, it's just making the grid view a little bit more visually appealing instead of just this stark spreadsheet look. So I think overall that's going to make quick edit a much more usable views option instead of something that you pop into to do edits. So good stuff.
Great.
How about you, Tamara?
So SharePoint is working on video web parts and templates. So the new SharePoint video web parts and templates will enable users to combine videos with messaging and other media to tell their story on any page or news post. So this is coming out in February. I think it would be great to make the SharePoint sites more interesting and more engaging, to have like a welcome video or something like that on there. The other thing that I think is great is Microsoft Teams, a simple periodic review for guest users. So it enables, it enables Teams IT admins to schedule periodic reviews on guest access across teams. It discovers every team that has one or more guests and triggers a review process for each. Now, that's not set to come out until March of 2021, but I think that's going to be great.
Yeah. And usually when they use the word simple and periodic, but then it's triggered by IT, it usually does mean that it's triggered by IT, but goes down to the business. So I'm excited to see what they come with that, because IT wouldn't need to know who's in the teams, but by using that word simple, it should be something very easy to process. So I'm excited to see, I'm actually really excited to see what they're going to come up with that.
I think that's a great idea to audit your guest users.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like
yes.
once a quarter at least.
Yep. Well, I saw one that I liked, which was going to come to the GCC. It's already in enterprise, but follow or mute conversations. So finer controls at the conversation level within a channel. You gotta love it when you can do that. Oh boy, do I love to mute me a conversation. Like yesterday when I accidentally had Teams open in a browser and the client, and notifications were on for both of them, and like 100 people decided to say something at the same time, and I went, wow, notifications.
I know what meeting you're talking about.
Yes.
There was one other one that I thought was kind of cool. So this is kind of a security feature that's kind of protecting you from yourself. So they're basically adding a new type of alert that they're calling override alerts for Defender for Office 365. What this basically means is previously, if you had like whitelisted a domain or an IP or something, it just didn't check a lot of that stuff. It just went through and delivered it to the system because you had whitelisted it. You said you wanted it. But the override alerts are basically, because that malware or phishing scanning is still going on, it will still deliver it to the mailbox for you, but it's also going to send a notification out to your admins that like, hey, we detected this potentially bad stuff, but because you have a policy that dictates we should deliver it, we still delivered it, we thought you should know. And so again, I see this as kind of like a protecting you from your own stupidity type of a thing. So kind of cool.
Awesome. Anyone else have anything coming out and in development here?
No, I think I'm good.
All righty. All right, then coming down to rolling out. Go ahead, Tamara. What do you have in rolling out?
OneDrive, move and keep sharing. Business users can choose to keep sharing with collaborators when they move their files between shared libraries or from OneDrive to a shared library. So to me, this makes it so much easier in case you have to move it, you're reorganizing stuff, you're cleaning up stuff, and it still allows them to share and still have access to those documents. So I'm excited about that. And that's rolling out. That was supposed to roll out in September of 2020.
It's finally making its way out. There was one thing too that we've talked about in the past that I think is really great when it comes to forms, and that is the ability to do text formatting in forms. So you can do bold, italics, underlining. This is something I think that's woefully lacking in the current rollout of it, because you're just stuck with text, and sometimes you need to bold a word or italicize a word or bring colored text to bring something out. So I think this is really cool. It also says consistent with Office 365 products, users can select the text format in a floating toolbar or use shortcuts. So again, it makes it look like they're going to put that ability right where you need it instead of you having to scroll up and do something up and then scroll back down again. So I think that's going to be really nice. I think that will make forms even more useful than it already is.
How about you, Adam? For the last couple, I think are admin-y. So if you want to mention those, if not, we can move on to launched.
Sure. This is a shout out from me, Tamara, and Jen all. DLP is coming to Teams for GCC Suite. Still not out yet in GCC High, but nice to see. Teams is becoming an important part of a ton of organizations' day-to-day world. So having DLP policies that you can act on that is good. And for all of our customers that have to be compliant, it's very good. And then the final one, I'm not going to spend too much time explaining this, but insider risk solutions are finally coming to the government clouds. Insider risk is basically the ability of going through and seeing bad actors that you have inside of your things, people trying to do data theft, things like that. So if you have an employee that's not behaving in the most ethical way, it's algorithms and stuff they've written to go through and look for stuff like that. That's finally coming out to the government clouds as well too, that you can go through and turn on. There's stuff in advanced e-discovery around it and stuff like that that you can do. It's kind of complex to get to, but it's a cool feature set. We always like feature parity, so that's coming out to GCC and GCC High now.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, moving on to launch, just a couple here that are really cool. I'll start with one. There's one in Microsoft List, and that's the updated person column experience built on SharePoint. And so items with a person column in and out of quick edit mode are going to appear using that new pill design when the photo is displayed. So when you select display one or more person, it's going to show with that new updated look. And that is actually in all of the clouds now. So super excited about that one. It just makes things nicer, more modern, crisp, clean. So that's a good one there. So I'll pass it to Tom.
I was going to pass it to my fiance because I don't want to step on what she might step on, just to make sure that, peace reigns in the household after this call is done. So go ahead, Tamara.
Oh, I thank you, but I would never hold it against you, Tom. One of the things I'd like to call out, which I really don't like, is Vizio's self-service purchase capabilities for Vizio. So Microsoft is enabling individuals and teams to purchase some Microsoft Vizio product directly with their business domain. So the self-servicing purchasing capabilities will allow individuals worldwide, excluding India, sorry, India, to acquire a subscription for Vizio Plan 1 or Vizio Plan 2. Now, be aware that the self-service purchasing capabilities are not going to be available for customers who are eligible for government or education offers. So it's just going to be in the commercial tenant. But I think letting your business users just spend money on the company's credit card and not having to go through IT where the licenses can be managed, I'm like, who thought that was a good idea?
I'm guessing because it's self-service purchasing, they're going to have to enter in payment details to do it. I'm guessing they can't just like willy-nilly charge to the tenant. But regardless, I'm with you. I don't know if I necessarily like giving random users the ability to decide that they want to do this.
Somebody's going to clean it up later.
Yeah, and not having it done. It also makes me the one positive I would say with this. I at least know I'll have Jen on my side for this one. If you've ever had a system before where like a user decided they wanted to go out and demo Power BI before your company went to Office 365, you then just have this like random rogue tenant out there that has your domain and there's nothing you could do about it. I imagine Vizio could have been the same before if it required like corporate ownership or domain ownership in order to be able to do it. If someone decided they wanted to go and buy a Vizio standalone product before, I'm guessing they had to create basically a tenant inside of Azure AD, which then means when your company goes to do it, it's like, well, why is our company name on Microsoft.com not available? And why can't we add our domain to and it could have just been a nightmare. So the one thing I could maybe see it helping with that is in the situation where people are not yet on the cloud, having the ability, if you can self-service do it, not have to be in like an actual full tenant. But again, like the overall idea of you're just letting my users decide to go and purchase IT services on their own without going through my IT or through a procurement process, like I feel like this is almost Microsoft enabling shadow IT, but they think it's okay because it's their own product.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will go ahead and take one off the list here. And this is one, it's like, Microsoft, you can be real spoil sports at times. And that's where Outlook on the web, admin control to remove the option to search for GIF files when composing a message. Come on, let us have some fun here. Do not shut it down to where I can't do it at all when I'm trying to send them out. Realistically, yeah, I get it. Sometimes that may not be the most proper thing to do depending on what kind of business you're running, but at least you should have this launch now for Outlook on the web. You will have admin controls to be able to say, no, I don't want you to do an animated GIF file. So we're not even going to give you
for you.
I know, no fun for you. So that's out there now. You should have it. It should have been fully launched by January. Actually, this is January. It should be fully launched now. Never mind.
Awesome. Well, there's one for Office 365, translate in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, coming to the DoD customers. So that is a good change, a good feature that's coming in there. So happy to have that one in our DoD environments.
I'm just going to toss one more out here, and it's probably not going to affect hardly anybody, but I still think it's cool because it shows the direction that they're going. And that is in Microsoft Teams, their electronic health record connector is now launched. So that's going to allow patients to schedule and join the virtual visit from their electronic health record systems patient portal. So one of the big ones out there is Epic. Mm-hmm. So if you had an EHR system with Epic, you could then interface it with Microsoft Teams, and you could use Teams as your mechanism to do your patient visits and stuff like that. With the whole push towards virtual visits instead of having to be in person, I think this just makes a lot of sense, and it really opens up some possibilities for Microsoft to get their foot in what is a huge business, and they're looking at interfacing with other EHR systems too. So cool stuff. That could really be another huge motivating factor to have people roll out Teams. So
yeah. Well, Tamara, do you have anything else, or anyone else have anything for launched, or should I move on to canceled?
I'm good.
I'll mention for launch, there's several compliance stuff in there.
Perfect.
I'm not going to go into all of the details about it, but there's several updates to the Compliance Center related to different options. One of them that we mentioned last week, you can now view in advanced e-discovery encrypted items, which is cool. That should be fully launched now. There's also one going into a new labeling process to GCC, GCC High, and DoD about what they call regulatory items, which is basically a more stringent label that you can place on stuff if you're need to be FINRA compliant and stuff. The one that I did think that was cool that I wanted to give a call out to was they're doing data at rest encryption for Microsoft 365. It's in preview. This is basically a way that you can choose, I want to go through and make sure all of my data at rest is encrypted, and basically tenant administrators can apply an encryption policy using keys that you're managing as a customer. And let me make sure I get this list right. Microsoft Teams files, Teams chat messages, Teams media messages, Teams chat notifications, and chat suggestions by Cortana and Exchange are all going to be encrypted at rest through an encryption policy that you control. So if you like your security and want to do that, you have the ability to now.
Nice. Wow.
Very cool. All right. Well, wrapping us up, we have 2 in canceled. One doesn't really matter because it's a duplicate, and that's the Share System Audio on Mac. So that's still coming. It's a duplicate. There is one that is canceled, though. And this is being postponed and added back to the roadmap at a future time. Now, this is interesting. They do this sometimes with features, and it was supposed to be released in December of 2020, and it clearly didn't get released. It's the Security and Compliance Center Advanced eDiscovery Tenant Reports and Preview. Now, sometimes they just keep extending the release date and keep it in development, and they keep it on the roadmap, and it just stays on the roadmap for a long time, but we don't really get updates on it. And then other times they go ahead and cancel it. So this one is being canceled, and it's saying it's going to be postponed and will be added back to the roadmap when the timing is solidified. So this probably means they found a better way, they found a different way, they're going to take a different approach, and then when they're ready, they're going to bring it back to the roadmap in a different form. So this feature is not coming like they said it was. So again, I don't think anything too significant here. You can work with third parties, I guess, to get the reports that you need, and then you can probably also pull from other reports there. So that one is canceled and removed from the roadmap. But those are the updates that we have for this week. We will be back next week with another set of updates. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you then. Have a great
God's
weekend.
bones. Have a good weekend.
God bones.
I know.